Most people are arguing about Stove God Cooks and Babygrande like it is one of two things. Either Stove is trapped in a bad deal, or Stove signed a contract, took the money, and did not deliver. But the paperwork points to a deeper story. This is not just about a missing album. It is not just about Lord Jamar saying one thing, Stove saying another, or fans being tired of waiting. The real question is control. Control of the music, control of the release channels, control of the revenue, control of third-party platforms, and possibly control around the commercial use of the name Stove God Cooks itself. That is where this becomes bigger than regular label drama. Because in rap, the name is not just a name. The name is the lane. The name is what goes on the album cover, the merch, the flyer, the streaming page, the feature credit, the rollout, and the business. So when that name becomes part of a legal fight, the whole conversation changes. Before the Babygrande deal became the center of the story, Stove God Cooks already had a long road behind him. He had been known earlier as Aaron Cooks. He had been connected to Lord Jamar. He had been around Busta Rhymes and the conglomerate. There were freestyles, interviews, videos, and attempts to introduce him through more traditional industry channels. But that version did not fully land. The talent was there. The direction was not. Then Rock Marciano entered the picture. That changed everything. In 2020, Stove God Cooks and Rock Marciano released Reasonable Drought. Rock did not just give Stove beats, he gave him the right world. Cold production, expensive loops, minimal drums, grim street luxury, space for the voice to become the whole instrument. And Stove sounded fully formed inside that world. The humor made sense. The coke rap surrealism made sense. The confidence made sense. The preacher-like delivery made sense. The name made sense. Reasonable Drought was not just a good underground album. It was an identity lock. That project gave Stove credibility. Rock Marciano fans paid attention. Griselda fans paid attention. Underground rap fans started treating him like one of the next major voices in that lane. Then the features kept the demand alive. He did not flood the market with solo albums, but he stayed present. He kept showing up in places that mattered. He became one of those artists where every verse made fans ask the same question. When is the next full Stove project coming? By the time Babygrande stepped in, Stove God Cooks was not just potential, he was leverage. Babygrande publicly announced Stove God Cooks as a label signing in 2021. The public version matters because Babygrande's own announcement ties Lord Jamar to the introduction. Chuck Wilson, the head of Babygrande, said Lord Jamar called him and told him he needed to hear Stove God Cooks. Wilson listened to Reasonable Drought and heard an elite artist. Then Babygrande offered Stove what was described as the largest record deal in the company's history. That line is important. Babygrande was not presenting this like a small upload arrangement or a quiet distribution play. They were presenting Stove as a serious signing, a major investment, a new chapter. That also explains why Lord Jamar is still part of the public argument. Lord Jamar says he helped manage Stove. He says he helped develop him. He says he helped make connections. He says he helped bring him to Babygrande. And now his position is direct. He says he knows the deal. He says it was not a bad deal. He says Stove took the money and did not deliver the projects. That is one side of the story, and it cannot just be thrown away. But it also does not answer the whole legal structure. Lord Jamar is talking mainly about obligation. Who helped whom? Who owed what? Who delivered? Who did not deliver? The court record is about something else. The court record is about rights. A lot of people hear label control and immediately call everything a 360 deal. That is not precise enough. A normal record deal can already give a label major rights. A label may advance money. The label may recoup from royalties. The label may control certain recordings. The artist may owe albums. The label may have options. The label may have approval rights. And the label normally needs permission to use the artist's name and likeness to promote the music. That last part is regular label business. If a label releases an album, it needs to put the artist's name on the cover. It needs to market singles. It needs to upload videos. It needs to advertise the project. That is not the unusual part. A 360 deal is a different question. A 360 deal is about the label participating in multiple revenue streams beyond recorded music: touring, merch, publishing, endorsements, other income lanes. So if someone asks whether Stove's deal was a 360, the honest answer is that the full contract is not public. Nobody outside the case can prove that from the public record we have. But the trademark issue is different from a 360. A 360 is about who gets paid from different streams. A trademark position is about who has leverage over the commercial use of the name. That is the sharper distinction, and that is why the Stove situation matters. Public trademark records tie Babygrande Global to the name Stove God Cooks in the same lanes an artist uses to build a business: recordings, performances, merch. Those are not side categories. That is the artist economy. The main federal case is Babygrande Global, Inc. versus Rodriguez and others. It was filed in the Southern District of New York in 2024. The first thing to understand is that the visible case is not simply Babygrande versus Stove. Stove is central to the dispute, but the public docket is Babygrande suing people and companies it says interfered with or exploited Stove-related rights. The core names are Babygrande, Even Labs, Enrique Mag Rodriguez, and DDot Washington. Even is a direct-to-fan music platform. Mag Rodriguez is tied to Even. DDot Washington becomes a complicated bridge figure because he appears in the Babygrande case and later becomes part of a separate public dispute involving Even and Mag. The shape of the case is this. Babygrande says it had rights connected to Stove God Cooks. Then a Stove-related release or business move through Even triggered a dispute. Babygrande's position is that those rights could not be moved around, released, monetized, or exploited outside its control. That turns the conversation from "why won't Stove drop?" into who had authority to release Stove-related music, through what platform, under what name, with what revenue structure, and inside what agreement. That is the real business question. The most important public document is not a reaction clip. It is not a comment section. It is not somebody's Instagram caption. It is the discovery order. The court required Babygrande to provide a less redacted version of its agreement with Stove God Cooks. That matters because the public does not have the full contract. The public does not know the exact album count. The public does not know the royalty rate. The public does not know the full buyout language. The public does not know the exact scope of name, likeness, merch, performance, trademark, or third-party platform rights. But the court requiring a less redacted version of the agreement tells us the contract is central to the case. Then the court went further. It required Babygrande to produce documents behind its financial and revenue summary. And then comes the biggest part. The court required Babygrande to search for communications with Stove, not just communications about a release date, communications concerning registration of the trademark and placement of that trademark on goods or services. That is the buried headline. The court was not only looking at whether an album was delivered, the court was looking at the paperwork behind the agreement, revenue, trademark registration, and commercial use of the mark. That does not decide the winner. It shows where the fight lives. It lives in the contract. It lives in the communications. It lives in the revenue records. It lives in the trademark paper trail. If the contract clearly gave Babygrande broad rights up front, that is one story. If the contract gave Babygrande narrower rights, that is another story. If later communications, filings, amendments, or conduct change the picture, that is another story again. The public does not have the final answer, but the discovery order tells us where the answer is. The answer is in the paperwork. Stove's own comments make the story more complicated, not less. He has not always framed this as simply the worst deal ever. In his Frequency with Quincy Harris interview, Stove reportedly said some of the delay came from miscommunication with Babygrande. He also admitted some of it was him. He talked about announcing music, leaving, coming back, and realizing there was still a list of business things that needed to be handled. He also talked about sample issues. That matters because fans think in terms of release dates. Artists and labels have to deal with clearances, risk, money, and lawsuits. So part of the delay may be boring business reality. But Stove also reportedly framed the issue as personal. He described being in a deal he did not want to be in anymore. He tied that to distrust, former management fallout, and feeling disrespected inside the relationship. That is the tension. Stove's version is not a clean victim story. Lord Jamar's version is not the full legal story. Babygrande is not publicly laying out every clause. So the paper trail becomes the center. The Swizz Beatz rollout is where the fan frustration became visible again. After a Reasonable Drought, Stove spent years in a strange position. He had one of the most respected underground projects of his era, but not the steady album output fans expected. He stayed alive through features, especially around the Griselda orbit, but the long-awaited solo moment kept slipping. Then All This For Me appeared to be the moment. A Stove God Cooks album fully produced by Swizz Beatz had weight. It sounded like a bigger stage reset. It connected the underground demand with a legendary producer and a wider rollout. The lead single, Welcome to My Garden, was already out, with Babygrande attached in the credits. Then the expected date came, and the album did not arrive the way fans expected. That is where the public-facing situation got messy. Babygrande was still visible around parts of the rollout. At the same time, public chatter included Babygrande distancing itself from being the reason the album did not drop. That is the contradiction fans could see. If Babygrande is in the credits, what is Babygrande's role? If Babygrande says it is not the blocker, who is? If Stove says some delay is on him, how much? If the federal case involves Stove-related rights, how much of this rollout sits under that legal shadow? Those are the right questions. The wrong question is only, why didn't he just upload it? That is not how a rights-heavy release works. The whole situation sits between three narratives. Lord Jamar's narrative is responsibility. He says Stove had a deal, got money, had obligations, and did not deliver. Stove's narrative is frustration. He says some delay was on him, some was label process, some involved samples and business cleanup, and some came from trust and personal fallout. The court record is control. It points to the agreement, revenue documents, trademark communications, and use of the mark on goods or services. Those three narratives are not the same. That is why the online conversation feels incomplete. People are trying to settle the whole thing with one line, but one line cannot hold the whole structure. Just deliver the album speaks to one side. Bad deal speaks to another side. Trademark control around the stage name speaks to the deeper architecture. The real story is where all three meet. The Stove God Cook story is not clean enough for the easy takes. It is not just a label villain story. It is not just an artist not delivering story. It is not just a Lord Jamar betrayal story. And it is not just Babygrande being blamed because labels usually stay quiet. The better read is this. Stove became valuable after Reasonable Drought gave him a fully formed identity. Babygrande stepped in after that value was visible. Lord Jamar says he helped make that connection and believes the deal was fair. Stove says the situation became something he did not want to be in anymore, while also admitting some delay was on him. Then the legal fight around outside releases, revenue, contract terms, and trademarks pulled the whole thing into federal court. As of late June 2026, the public docket still does not show a final ruling that resolves the contract or trademark control question. That is the story. The central issue is not only whether Stove owed Babygrande music. The central issue is how much control Babygrande has, or claims to have, over the Stove God Cooks commercial identity. Music is one part of that. The name is the bigger part. The name is what fans search. The name is what goes on the cover. The name is what sells the merch. The name is what appears on the flyer. The name is what platforms monetize. The name is what makes the catalog, the features, and the rollout valuable. So when the name enters the legal structure, the whole conversation changes. Until the full contract and discovery record are public, nobody outside the case can give the final answer. But the paperwork we can see already tells us the conversation has been too shallow. This is not just rap drama. This is a fight over music, money, rights, and the commercial identity of Stove God Cooks.